I invented a fake competition to make a kid's dream come true. Broke all the rules, said it was a writing contest about dinosaurs. Watched his eyes light up when I handed him the winner gift card. Now, I'm the teacher who's out of line for caring too much. Dinosaurs rule, and so does he. The Dinosaur Dream, a teacher's secret competition. I'm Mr. Thompson, a middle school English teacher in a vibrant but economically challenged neighborhood. At 34, I've spent nearly a decade in these classrooms, where the paint is peeling and the textbooks are worn, but the spirit of the kids is anything but diminished. These kids, with their wide eyes and endless questions, are my world. As much as I teach them about metaphors and Shakespeare, they teach me about resilience, grit, and the power of dreams. One of my students, Jake, stands out like a beacon of enthusiasm. He's a wiry 12-year-old with an infectious energy, his cheeks perpetually flushed with excitement, or the latest sprint down the hallway. Jake is obsessed with dinosaurs. Not just the casual fascination most kids have. No, Jake lives and breathes these prehistoric giants. He's the kind of kid who can tell you the difference between a brachiosaurus and a brontosaurus without missing a beat, who sketches velociraptors in the margins of his math homework. The buzz about the new Jurassic World movie was all over school. During lunch breaks and between classes, you could hear the kids animatedly discussing the trailers, debating the awesomeness of CGI dinosaurs versus practical effects. But for Jake, this was more than just a movie. It was a dream come alive, a chance to see his beloved creatures in action on the big screen. One afternoon, as the sun stretched long shadows across our classroom, Jake lingered after the final bell. His usual animated demeanor was replaced by a rare quietness. Mr. Thompson, he began, his voice barely above a whisper, have you seen the trailer for the new Jurassic World? It's awesome. I have, I replied, leaning back in my chair. Looks like it's going to be quite the adventure. Jake's eyes lit up briefly, then dimmed. I wish I could see it, he said, a wistful tone in his voice. But you know, we can't really afford it right now. Those words hit me harder than I expected. Here was a kid who deserved to have his imagination fueled, to experience that magic. Yet the reality of his situation was a reminder of the obstacles these kids face daily. In that moment, an idea began to form, a way to give Jake his moment, a chance to see the movie without the burden of cost. That night, I found myself sitting at my kitchen table, surrounded by papers and pens, a cup of coffee growing cold beside me. I mulled over how to make this work, how to create something that felt genuine and hopeful. The seed of an idea had been planted, and all it needed was a little nurturing to grow. The plan was simple yet daring. I would create a writing competition, one exclusively for Jake, though he wouldn't know that. The premise was that a local cinema was sponsoring it, offering a movie ticket as a prize for the best essay on, what else? Dinosaurs. It was a small act, perhaps a bit unorthodox, but the potential joy it could bring seemed worth the risk. The next day, I presented the idea to the class with all the enthusiasm I could muster. I held up a carefully crafted flyer, designed with colorful dinosaurs at the top and bold letters announcing the competition. The kids buzzed with curiosity and excitement, and Jake's eyes widened with interest. I watched him as he absorbed the details, his mind clearly racing with possibilities. Mr. Thompson, do you think I could enter? He asked, his voice tinged with hope. Of course, Jake, I can't think of anyone better suited to write about dinosaurs, I replied, trying to keep my tone casual, though inside I was cheering. Jake nodded, determination setting in. His pencil soon flew across the pages of his notebook, his brow furrowed in concentration. As he worked, I couldn't help but reflect on my own childhood passions, how I'd once been lost in the pages of Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, dreaming of adventures beyond the stars. Encouraging Jake felt like passing the torch, a reminder of the importance of nurturing these young dreams. Over the following days, I watched as Jake poured himself into his essay. He'd stay after class, sharing tidbits about his favorite dinosaurs, his thoughts on the movie, and why it all mattered to him. His enthusiasm was contagious, and I found myself eagerly awaiting the completion of his work. While he wrote, I couldn't help but marvel at his dedication. Here was a kid who, despite everything, found joy in the simple act of writing about what he loved. It was a reminder of why I chose to teach in the first place, to inspire and be inspired in return. As the deadline for the competition approached, Jake handed me his essay with a mix of pride and nerves. I hope it's good enough, he said, his voice tinged with the vulnerability of someone who's put their heart into something. I took the pages from him, feeling the weight of his hopes in my hands. I'm sure it's fantastic, Jake. I can't wait to read it. And as I watched him leave, his steps lighter than usual, I felt a sense of fulfillment. This small act, this fabrication of a competition, was more than just about a movie ticket. It was about giving Jake a moment of happiness, a chance to see his world of dinosaurs come to life, and maybe even a little bit of magic along the way. Sitting at my worn wooden desk in the dimly lit classroom after the final bell had rung, I stared at the blank sheet of paper before me. The room was silent, save for the faint rustle of papers caught in a soft breeze from the open window. The familiar scent of chalk and old textbooks filled the air, taking me back to my own school days. Those days seemed simpler in hindsight, filled with dreams and endless possibilities. But now, as Mr. Thompson, a middle school English teacher in a low-income neighborhood, I saw firsthand the barriers my students faced and how those dreams could be stifled by life's harsh realities. Jake's eager face flashed in my mind, his eyes lighting up at the mere mention of dinosaurs. I remembered the way his enthusiasm was dampened when he confided in me about not being able to see the new Jurassic World movie. It was then that the seed of an idea began to sprout in my mind, a writing competition, just for him. Creating this fictional competition was no small feat. It had to be convincing enough to not arouse suspicion among the other students or my colleagues. I started by crafting a flyer on my laptop, carefully choosing words that would appeal to young dinosaur enthusiasts. The Jurassic Writing Challenge, it read in bold, blocky letters, reminiscent of the iconic movie logo. I added an enticing tagline, "Unleash your inner paleontologist." The grand prize, of course, was a ticket to see the movie on opening day, courtesy of a fictional sponsorship from a local cinema. Next, I needed a believable backstory. I imagined a generous cinema manager who loved fostering creativity in young minds, someone who wanted to give back to the community by encouraging students to express their love for dinosaurs through writing. I chuckled at the thought of this imaginary benefactor, a figment of my own creative conjuring, and how he might have been a teacher in another life. With the flyer printed and ready, I felt a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. Was it wrong to deceive Jake, even with the best of intentions? I pushed the thought aside, focusing instead on the joy it would bring him. The next day, I presented the flyer to the class, pinning it to the bulletin board with a flourish. I watched Jake's eyes widen as he read the details. "A writing competition about dinosaurs," he exclaimed, his voice a blend of disbelief and delight. "Mr. Thompson, is this for real?" "Absolutely, Jake," I replied, trying to keep my tone casual. "It's a great opportunity for you to share your passion for dinosaurs. And who knows, you might just win that movie ticket." His face lit up, and for a moment the weight of the world seemed to lift from his shoulders. He immediately began brainstorming ideas, his pencil scratching furiously across the page. Watching him, I was transported back to my own childhood, when my heart beat faster at the thought of writing and storytelling. As Jake poured his energy into his essay over the following days, I found myself reflecting on the passions that fueled me as a child. I remembered the thrill of discovering new worlds in books, the way words danced on the page, and the sense of wonder they inspired. It was that same sense of wonder I hoped to ignite in Jake and my other students, despite the challenges they faced. Each day after class, Jake lingered, eager to share his progress and new dinosaur facts he'd uncovered. I listened attentively, offering encouragement and gentle guidance. "Tell me more about the Triceratops," I'd say. "Or why do you think the T-Rex was so fascinating?" His eyes would sparkle as he delved into these prehistoric worlds, his voice animated and lively. One afternoon, as he shared a particularly clever metaphor he'd crafted about a velociraptor's speed, I couldn't help but smile. "That's fantastic, Jake. You have a real talent for making dinosaurs come alive with your words." "Really, Mr. Thompson?" he asked, his cheeks flushing with pride. "Absolutely. You're a natural storyteller," I assured him, watching as his confidence grew with each passing day. Through this process, I realized how important it was to nurture these passions, to give them room to breathe and flourish. In a world where so many dreams were stifled by circumstance, it was up to teachers like me to provide spaces where imagination could thrive. As the deadline for the competition approached, Jake submitted his essay with a sense of triumph. He handed me the paper, his hands trembling slightly with anticipation. "I hope it's good enough," he said, though his eyes betrayed a glimmer of hope. "It's perfect, Jake," I said, taking the essay from him. "You've poured your heart into this, and that's what truly matters." That night, I sat in my quiet apartment, reading through Jake's essay. It was filled with heartfelt passion and a genuine love for dinosaurs that was contagious. His words were simple yet powerful, painting vivid images of roaring creatures and ancient landscapes. I was moved by his innocence and dedication, reminded of the pure joy of childhood obsessions. As I placed his essay in a special folder, ready for the judging, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. This small act, this fictional competition, was more than just a chance to see a movie. It was an opportunity to inspire, to encourage a young mind to dream and believe in the power of his own voice. In crafting this competition, I had hoped to give Jake a moment of happiness, a break from the struggles that life so often dealt him. But in doing so, I had also rekindled my own passion for teaching, for nurturing the seeds of creativity and wonder in my students. And in the end, that was the greatest reward of all. As I sat at my desk that afternoon, the classroom empty and silent, I held Jake's essay in my hands. The paper was slightly crumpled at the edges, a testament to the care and effort he had poured into it. I smoothed out the pages, feeling the weight of his words before I even began to read. There was something profoundly moving about this simple act, knowing how much this meant to him. Jake's handwriting, a mix of block letters and cursive loops, danced across the lines with an energy that mirrored his enthusiasm. The title, Why Dinosaurs Are the Best and Why I Need to See Jurassic World, was underlined twice, each stroke imbued with determination. I took a deep breath and began to read. From the very first sentence, Jake's passion was palpable. Dinosaurs are not just big lizards, he wrote. They are the kings and queens of our planet's history, and I want to learn everything about them. His words painted vivid images of towering T-Rexes and swift velociraptors, creatures that roamed his imagination as freely as they once did the Earth. It was clear that this was more than just an essay for Jake. It was a love letter to his favorite subject. He spoke of his fascination with their massive size and the mystery surrounding their extinction. They disappeared millions of years ago, but they still have secrets to tell us, he mused. I want to be the one who uncovers those secrets. His ambition was both touching and inspiring, a reminder of the power of dreams untainted by cynicism. As I read, I marveled at how Jake articulated his thoughts, each sentence a window into his world. He described his room, cluttered with dinosaur figurines and books, a sanctuary where he could escape and explore prehistoric times. When I'm with my dinosaurs, I feel like I can be a part of their world, he wrote. It's like having a time machine, but better because I get to imagine it all. A particular passage caught my attention, where Jake reflected on the new Jurassic World movie. Seeing dinosaurs come to life on the big screen is like getting to meet an old friend, he said. Even if they are just CGI, it feels real to me. His words resonated with an authenticity that only a child's mind could conjure, filled with wonder and belief in the impossible. Jake's essay continued, weaving facts about different dinosaur species with personal anecdotes. He recounted how he had memorized the names of all the dinosaurs he could find, impressing, or perhaps annoying his friends and family with endless trivia. Did you know that the Stegosaurus had a brain the size of a walnut? He asked, his voice almost audible through the page. It's amazing how something so big could have such a small brain. By the time I reached the end of his essay, I was smiling, my heart warmed by the purity of his enthusiasm. Jake concluded with a heartfelt plea. I want to see Jurassic World because it's not just a movie. It's a chance for me to see my dreams come to life, even if just for a little while. His sincerity was disarming, a reminder of why I had become a teacher in the first place. Sitting back in my chair, I allowed myself a moment to simply appreciate Jake's innocence and dedication. In a world that often felt harsh and unyielding, his essay was a beacon of hope and resilience. It was a testament to the power of imagination and the importance of nurturing young minds, especially those like Jake, who found solace and joy in their passions, despite the challenges they faced. I couldn't help but think about my own childhood, the fervor with which I had pursued my interests, and how those early obsessions had shaped the person I became. I knew that for Jake, dinosaurs were more than just a hobby. They were a lifeline, a source of happiness and inspiration in a life that wasn't always easy. Over the next few days, Jake's anticipation was almost tangible. He would linger after class, asking if I'd read his essay yet and when I thought of it. Each time I assured him that it was wonderful and that he should be proud of his work. His face would light up with a mixture of pride and hope, a look that made every moment of this endeavor worthwhile. I found myself caught up in Jake's excitement, eagerly awaiting the day I could announce the winner of our little ruse. His enthusiasm was infectious, reminding me of the magic that exists in the world when seen through the eyes of a child. As I prepared for the big reveal, I reflected on the journey we had taken together. Jake's dinosaur dream had not only rekindled his spirit, but had also reignited my own passion for teaching. In helping him, I had rediscovered the joy of connecting with my students on a deeper level, of making a difference in their lives, even if in small, seemingly insignificant ways. With each passing day, the anticipation grew, and I knew that soon Jake's dream would become a reality. The thought filled me with an overwhelming sense of fulfillment and gratitude for the opportunity to play a part in his story. As I folded his essay and placed it in my desk drawer, I couldn't help but smile, knowing that the best was yet to come. The day of the big reveal arrived, and with it, a flurry of butterflies in my stomach. I had barely slept the night before, thoughts of Jake and the culmination of my little scheme swirling in my mind. Sitting at my desk in the quiet classroom, I glanced at the clock. The hand seemed to crawl at a snail's pace, each tick amplifying my anticipation. As the first bell rang, students began to trickle in, each one bringing the room to life with their chatter and laughter. Jake was among the first to arrive, his eyes bright with curiosity and a hint of nervousness. He gave me a small wave and a tentative smile as he took his seat. I returned the gesture, hoping to reassure him, and perhaps myself, that everything would go smoothly. The morning announcements droned on over the PA system, but my mind was elsewhere. I had rehearsed my lines countless times, yet the words seemed to jumble together, a tangled mess of syntax and sentiment. What if the students saw through my ruse? What if Jake was disappointed in some unforeseen way? These thoughts tugged at me, but I pushed them aside. Today was about Jake and his moment of joy. Finally, it was time for English class. I stood at the front of the room, trying to disguise my excitement under a veneer of teacherly calm. "All right, class," I began, my voice a touch steadier than I felt. "Before we dive into today's lesson, I have an announcement to make." The room hushed, a collective breath held in anticipation. Jake's eyes were wide, his hands gripping the edge of his desk. I could feel the collective curiosity of the class, a palpable energy that charged the air. "As you all know, we've had the Jurassic Writing Challenge running over the past few weeks," I continued, scanning the room to gauge their reactions. There were nods of recognition, a few exchanged glances, and today I'm thrilled to announce the winner. I paused for effect, savoring the moment. Then, with a smile that I hoped conveyed both warmth and sincerity, I said, "Jake, would you come up here, please?" The room erupted into applause, a wave of sound that felt like a warm embrace. Jake's face was a canvas of emotions, astonishment, joy, disbelief, all painted in bright strokes. He stood slowly, as if unsure that his legs would support him, and made his way to the front of the class. "Congratulations, Jake," I said, handing him the envelope containing the movie ticket voucher. His hands shook slightly as he took it. His eyes locked on mine, as if to confirm this was real. "Your essay was truly outstanding. Your passion